Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. So we're going to return to Quo today. And after doing some research, I wanted to know what Quo had to say about the harvest. And in doing so, I got some more information about the transition from third to fourth density, which we talk about very often on this channel, but it seems like every time we come back to this, we get new information. So I found a channeling that occurred after a 4-year hiatus with LL Research when they started asking specific questions to Quo about the harvest after 2012. And some of the information is very interesting. And so I have some different channelings from 2016 about this topic. If you want further information, check out my episode on the harvest. Oftentimes the word the harvest is misinterpreted because of the very word. I believe that Carla, the person originally channeling the Law of One material, used that word because she had heavy Christian influences. And really it's just discussing the advancement of the soul from third to fourth density, or the movement into the new earth that we talk about so often. So I think you'll find some nuggets in here that will help you to understand this transition better post 2012 and how it continues to change our understandings of this process. We begin with a question on February 6th, 2016. Quo, since this contact resumed after a 4-year hiatus, we at LL Research have received questions from readers abroad regarding the transition from third to fourth density that is purported to be occurring now. As you and the Confederation have made a recurring feature of this topic in your message, both in your narrow and wideband channelings, we presume that you want spiritual seekers on the ground to know about this density change. Today, therefore, we have 2 simple questions for the main portion of this channeling. 1. Where in the process are we with respect to the transition from third to fourth density, or as you call it, harvest? And as an extension of that question, how does this harvest relate to, or how do we relate to it in terms of our spiritual evolution? 2. As precisely as you are capable of speaking within the limits of this contact and the limits of free will, how will this transition into fourth density manifest in the collective space-time experience we call everyday life? Now, Jim is channeling in this particular message and begins by saying, I am Quo, and greet each of you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. It is our great privilege this afternoon to greet each of you, for we have been called to your group by your seeking, each of you as an individual entity and together as a group of entities, all seeking the light of the one creator to shine upon the path upon which you walk, to bring more clarity to that path. While understanding as much as can be had in your density of experience, for there is so little that is clearly known there, and yet love reigns supreme and light leads the way, and unity is the foundation upon which you stand. We will ask you, as we always do, to use your own discrimination for those words and concepts which we offer you, taking those that have meaning, leaving those that do not. We do not wish to be a stumbling block for you. We wish to aid your journey, and if you would do this for us, it would be of great help to us in sharing what we have to share with you. For we are not to be seen as the ultimate authorities. We as you seek the one with every fiber of our being and are happy to share with you what we have learned upon our journey with those such as yourselves. This afternoon, you asked about the harvest upon your planet Earth. That great time when souls are able to be graduated from the third density, that density of conscious choice making, into the density of love and understanding, as many have called it. Those here are, of course, interested in what might be termed the positive harvest, that harvest described by serving others more than serving the self. For that is all that is necessary, my friends, is that you serve others more than you serve yourself. With that simple choice made, much study and learning is possible. Within the great reaches of the fourth density that is now surrounding and imbuing your planet and its population with the energies of all compassionate love. Those entities who are able to experience and express this love in their lives are those which are making themselves available for this harvest, and indeed the planet itself shall be harvested into the fourth density, for it as an entity is progressing as well. You ask what is the progress of the harvest for this planet and its population at this time, for many have been the predictions of this great event throughout history of your planet. Indeed, the one known as Jesus the Christ said there were those among his group that would see the harvest. The harvest is that which begins first in those minds and especially in those hearts that are prepared to welcome and enjoy the vibrations of love and understanding. Thus, there are many who have been able to harvest themselves into fourth density positive over the last few thousand of your years, and they at this time are preparing to welcome their brothers and sisters of the greater population of planet Earth that will be harvested at the, shall we say, striking of the hour on the infinite clock of destiny. Your harvest is that which has begun. Those entities now passing from your illusion through the door that you call death are walking the steps of light to see if they have the ability to walk and enjoy the brighter light that is a significant portion of the fourth density experience. As these entities move into this light, they move as far as possible without the light becoming too glaring. When it is too glaring to continue, they step aside and notice whether they have passed the boundary, shall we say, of the third density into the fourth density. And those who have become as the gathering choir that sings the glorious hallelujah to the one Creator welcome others who also pass through the doors of death only to be reborn into the love and the light of the one in another illusion, a grander illusion, more densely packed with light, with love, with understanding, with cooperation, with community, with a joint effort towards further seeking of the one Creator. Thus, in this sense, your harvest has begun. But we realize that you mean, when shall it be complete? This, my friends, is that which is the question for all entities who observe now the little planet Earth upon which you dwell. For there is much confusion within the populations of your planet at this time. And there is the free will of so many entities, cultures and nationalities, creeds, religions, sects, and so forth, that see this great time, each through individual eyes, though all share the feeling, the desire, the promise of the one Creator to welcome the children home to a grander home, a more loving home, where all are welcome eventually. We are aware that you have information that suggests there is a great span of time in your measure that may be the potential experience of the last of the third density and the complete experience of the fourth density. This time measurement reaching upwards to 600 and 700 of your years is still a possibility, though there are factors of free will of the great masses of peoples upon your planet to consider. There are at this time many entities and groups such as this group that work to increase the harvest in a geometric fashion. You are aware of the concept of the doubling, which those of Ra spoke of. When there is one who seeks, that is enough to be the cornerstone. When there are two that seek the one in a successful manner approaching harvestability, there is the doubling. And the third continues to double and so forth until there is what you may call a critical mass reached for your planetary population. This mass is that which approaches in time-space, and its analog of space-time, so there are many who will find that they are able to partake in this harvest. If not in the current incarnation, then in the one succeeding. For it appears now that with the best efforts of all of those teachers and guides, students and helpers, with the birth of this planet, there shall not be more than 2 additional incarnations necessary for the completion of this harvest. Realize, my friends, that the free will of your planet is most difficult to predict, for there are forces moving from ancient of days that would work against such harvests. Those entities of a darker variety which seek in their own manner to be harvested by controlling the light of this harvest. And yet they shall fail. The legions of the service to self entities will have only a short day where they shall reign supreme, and then their day shall be over. And the light shall shine, and the harvest shall be complete. And those who seek service to others shall find a new fourth density home upon this planet. For this planet shall be a fourth density positive planet, even with all the seeming darkness, strife, wars, control, and negativity that have plagued this planet for thousands of years. Thus, you may see that though there are difficulties ahead, the difficulties shall be surmounted. All compassionate love shall find not only its day, but its cycle upon this planet, and this planet shall be as bright as a star in the heavens of a new creation. We would at this time speak to the question of the meaning of the harvest by asking you to begin by taking a step back and to inquire into who it is and what it is that will be the subject of the harvest. In one sense, the question of the who is very easy, for it shall be you. But who are you? If we use the term in its collective sense, it includes not only the individual mind-body-spirit complex, but also a great many other mind-body-spirit complexes who have come together in the unity of a one seeking, and who together comprise a kind of energy configuration which expresses what we might call a certain signature of being. Now, this signature is a product of the unique evolution of mind-body-spirit complexes in their union that takes place over the course of long periods of time. And in fact, upon this planet, we would say that it is a period which has begun far earlier than your third density experience, and will continue far after the third density portion of the experience has been completed. Thus, we might speak of a destiny of evolution, which it is the function of each individual planet to carry forth, that this destiny might become an adornment to the Creator and an honestation to the creation. Therefore, you can see how it is that it is not simply a case of each individual becoming harvestable for those friends and associates of yours which you might hope will become harvested with you, but there is a certain responsibility which all share to the redemption, if you will, the salvation, or perhaps a better word is simply the completion of an evolutionary cycle upon your sphere. It is of great interest to all those around your sphere who have a great many of your generations looked on, and encourage those upon your sphere to continue their evolutionary striving. This interest is in having a portion of the creation come into the fullness of its realization, and those who monitor and aid the progress of your incarnative cycles from a standpoint in the time-space portion of your space-time continuum have encouraged this process to the very limit of their ability, recognizing at all times that evolution is indeed, as we have said, a function of free will. Now it happens that upon your planet there will be some who do not make the harvest, and in fact the total is likely to be substantial. We say this with some degree of sorrow, because in fact it is the hope of all who begin an incarnational cycle they will be able, at some point during the process, to reach a level of spiritual development which permits them to go to a further stage. And those who have had to repeat the third density, in some cases to repeat it more than once, and find themselves looking at a very real prospect of repeating it yet again, can begin to feel a certain despair in recognizing that the final reach into the fourth density is still a little bit beyond their reach, a little bit more of a stretch than they can at this time accomplish. Now it does happen that sometimes advancement can take place rather quickly, and the guides that ward the process are very much aware of this and are in attunement with any prospect which gives hope that larger numbers may indeed achieve the harvest. The reason that it is important to aid every last soul whose yearning merits hope that harvest may be nigh is that every soul who has participated in this planetary experience is a portion of the destiny that this experience strives to achieve. Each soul carries with it a portion of the secret of creation itself, and has the promise of bringing to the Creator information which can be got in no other way. This planet, my friends, is unique, and it is unique in ways that not every planet at the point of its movement from third to fourth density has been unique. In particular, it has featured a certain set of balances between the forces of positivity, as we might call them, and the forces of negativity. This is one of the reasons why your planet has been of great interest to both sides of the evolutionary process, the positive and the negative, and why what you might call a contest or tug of war in the heavens has unfolded for many of your eons in the past. Those who have been through the trial by ordeal, as we might call it, where they have been required to sift through a significant portion of their experience that is seemingly tinted with the signature of negative energy in an attempt to turn and allow the negativity to feed into a system in which positivity arises as a result. Those who have been through this process, we say, will have to offer to the creation a particular kind of view, the particular strength of spiritual being that those who have evolved in a more harmonious context can but little appreciate, but are learning more and more to understand the significance of. And so it is that the creation itself is at present divided amongst those in the higher densities, which are still seeking along a path of the negative, and those which are still seeking along the path of the positive. And between these two, there is a struggle, a contest, but at some point this contest will need to be resolved. It is our conviction, and the conviction of all those who have sought their seeking along the lines of positivity, of love, and of compassion, that it is love and it is compassion which in the end will embrace even its opposite, and that the polarities will inevitably be recombined in a glorious union which will speak in the most eloquent and the most searching ways to the creator of the nature of that creator, which nature is continually being plumbed, which nature is continually being queried by the creator itself. Now, your planet stands at a crossroad. It is quite clear that the largest number of those who have come to the cusp of the harvest and who look to be able to cross over the threshold into fourth density experience will be of the positive vibration. Therefore, we can say that this planet in fact will be a fourth density positive planet. There will, however, be a certain number of entities which will be harvested from this planetary experience into the negative register of the creation, and these, not finding a home to their liking, so to speak, on this planet, will have the opportunity to pursue their further evolutionary development upon planetary spheres which have already as a group polarized to the negative. What is interesting about those souls, those complexes of mind, body, and spirit, who grow upon this plane, is they will have had experiences in relation to the negative focus of energy, which is what we might call up close and personal. They will have had intimate experience in transmuting negative energies, in some cases of a rather high order, into a positive manifestation, and it is this experience which will give them a certain strength, a certain insight, a certain vibratory character which will be very gladly received by their brothers and sisters of other planets, of other densities, which will then be given the opportunity to explore dimensions of the creation that have previously not been available for close inspection, shall we say. It is for this reason that it is a rather significant point to consider that your planet has a destiny and a continuity of development from the past which it has experienced in third density to the present and to a future which most assuredly will be fourth density positive. Those souls who will be invited to come into your planetary experience from other sources, and will be so invited because there will be the availability of slots, shall we say, in your population, which will not be able to be filled by the native third density population, there being a lack of those harvested to fill these slots. These new souls will be given the honor and duty to fill out a destiny which will involve a trajectory or a momentum, and will involve cultural forms which have been in the process of being developed over a long period of your years. Now, to be sure, once fourth destiny is in full flower, the transition to new cultural forms will be rather dramatic, and it will be as the difference between night and day with regard to many of your institutions, many of your cultural traditions which will undergo such transition, they will be hardly recognizable. But we do call your attention to the word hardly or almost, for it is important. There is a reach back into your past, even as there will be a reach forward into your future, and that it will be this planet, it will be this population which gives the intimate, the secret focus to a pattern of development, which will flow into your future. It will be earth energy, which moves into earth fourth density, and that energy will not be started anew in fourth density, rather, it will be continued. Even as it is the case that your third density continued from the second density experience of the higher animals upon your earth plane. Now, this continuity is something that does not simply happen by itself. It is the function and responsibility of those upon your planet that are currently incarnate to make every effort to engage in the most eloquent way possible with the cultural forms currently alive on your planet. so that these forms may have a life moving into a fuller destiny, that they may have a future experience that brings them into a condition allowing fourth density to grow on a soil which has been prepared. The principal reason that wanderers have been allowed to incarnate is undoubtedly to raise the number of those which might meaningfully aspire to be harvested. But of almost equal importance is this preservation, continuation, and further flowering of the planetary consciousness, if we might call it that, which also constitute a kind of unity, which also expresses many of the difficulties and vexations that you as individual mind-body-spirit complexes experience, each in your own way. When you gather together in groups such as this, you are doing more work than simply the work of your own destiny as an individual. You're doing work which aids in the planet and its aspiration to a future which will be fourth density, will be positive, will be an ambience of love in which the veil of consciousness will, little by little, fall away. And souls which have for a considerable period of your time found themselves groping in the dark will now find themselves standing in the light. It is to this light, it is to the bringing forth of the conditions from the soil which allow the light to begin to shine in nooks and crannies long lain in darkness that we commend you. We commend you, my brothers and sisters, to the effort to give birth to the earth that has not yet been, but is very soon to come. Gary then asks a question, quo, I have a query for you. It is regarding the discrete boundary between densities. Prior to asking the query, I'm going to make 4 references to the law of one material, where Ra describes this sort of boundary. 1, in 9.4, Ra is discussing how the intelligent energy cycles the densities, and they say, this intelligent energy offers a type of clock. The cycles move as precisely as a clock strikes your hour. Thusly, the gateway from intelligent energy to intelligent infinity opens regardless of circumstances on the striking of the hour. I read that as them saying, regardless of what is happening on the ground on Earth, that door opens due to the striking of the clock. 2, in the second reference, 1323, Ra says the fourth density is, as we have said, as regularized in its approach as the striking of a clock upon the hour. 3, in 4011, they say the nature of quanta is such that the movement over the boundary is that of discrete placement of vibratory level. And 4, and then finally in 6324, the questioner is asking about the fourth density and says, then as the fourth density sphere is activated, there is heat generated. I assume that this is heat energy generated in the third density sphere only. Is this correct? Ra says this is quite correct. The experiential distortions of each dimension are discrete. So here are 4 different instances where they talk about this discrete boundary. My question is in 2 parts. 1, is that discrete boundary ahead of us or behind us? And 2, ahead of us, what happens on Earth in our space-time environment when we reach that moment of a discrete boundary? I am Quo, and I am aware of your query, my brother. The time of the passing of the Earth into fourth density cycle of experience occurred in that time period that many were speaking of for a great period of your time beforehand. That is the year 2012. In this year, the time-space beingness of your planet became completely of fourth density nature. However, the space-time portion of your planet has been somewhat, shall we say, confused and laggardly in the collection of entities and their ability to make what you would call the graduation to point the needle of the compass in a solid and discrete fashion. Thus, our suggestion that it would take approximately 2 additional incarnational periods, that incarnational period each being somewhere between 70 and 80 of your years, before the space-time continua was able to match that of the time-space graduation into fourth density. Thus, you will see there is some period of, shall we say, cleaning up the mess that has been made upon your planet by the cultures that cannot seem to find a way home. This is the group of entities that will, in all likelihood, find it necessary to repeat the third density space-time master cycle of 75,000 years upon another third density planet. They then ask, it sounds to me, Quo, as if you're saying that we crossed that boundary moment. According to what Ra said, the gateway to intelligent infinity opens at that moment. But you went on to say, however, that we're essentially slow to catch up, and our energies and our collective vibratory situation is not matching the opening that was made available at the boundary line. So what would happen then? It's a puzzle to me, because it seems that door opens regardless of what's happening on the ground in space-time. So what would happen if we in space-time did not, as you just said, clean up the mess at the opening? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query. There are those entities who are available for the assisting of your planetary population in the movement across the boundary in the space-time vicinity of your third density experience, which has now been in movement, shall we say, for at least 70 of your years. The precision of the striking of the clock upon the hour is somewhat difficult to describe to you in the ultimate sense of the time-space qualities of your illusion. For what seems to be a greater portion of time, be it 50, 60, or 100 of your years, is in the larger perspective, but the eye blink of a moment. The striking of the clock upon the hour cannot be taken as literally as it is taken within your third density illusion. For as you see, upon the microscopic level, the third density moves into fourth density upon a grander perspective, a level of experience in which time is expanded, and space does not play such a great role. Thus, there is the opportunity that shall be taken by all entities upon your planetary sphere to, as we mentioned, clean up the mess. There shall be those guides that will make themselves apparent to the third density population in one fashion or another, perhaps as incarnated entities, perhaps as a movement within various portions of your third density sphere, within various cultures, religions, sects, or nation states, so that there shall be efforts made to, as you now attempt to clean up the environment, to clean up the metaphysical environment as well. In other words, there are great strides being made at all levels of your planetary experience. There are evidences of various kinds of fourth density manifestations each day within your illusion. The indigo children, for example, are those entities who have incarnated within the third density plane at this time, who have been able to successfully graduate other third density planets, but who have found it a great opportunity and privilege to be incarnated here at this time, to aid in this transition and to become what we shall call system busters, as we have heard them described, that are able to make new arrangements to deal with the various problems that are seen upon your planet, to be retarding the process of the movement into fourth density in the space-time portion of your planetary experience. These entities shall find their ways into various places of what you would call social, political, economic power, to be able to have their influence and effect after the great dragon of negativity has met its match and its tail will thrash no longer. They ask then that clarified things for me. Thank you so much, Quo. I have one final brief query. At the moment that the discrete boundary is crossed in our space-time experience and the opportunity for harvesting is no more upon the planet and third density life is no longer available, at least for a short time upon this planet, at that moment, what happens to those entities still incarnate within third density? I am Quo and I'm aware of your query, my brother. In our former response, we were attempting to suggest that these entities shall have been able to make the movement through the, shall we say, process of graduation, and shall determine for themselves the need to repeat the third density cycle upon another third density planet. As a follow-up to the explanation of the time lag where fourth density has entered, we've entered fourth density in time-space, but there's the time lag of space-time catching up. Well, those of us living in this time period, are we able to see the manifestation of the light and the energy of fourth density in ways, not only just in social changes and in other changes, but like in earth changes and things like that? I am Quo and I'm aware of your query, my sister. This is correct. There are many changes occurring upon your planetary surface at this time, which are obvious to beholders of the experience. Those changes of the tectonic plates, the planetary surface releasing heat, the abilities of entities within various portions of your planet to perceive the movement of energies and to use these energies for the benefit of those about them and for the planet itself. These are a portion of that which shall be experienced and is indeed being experienced at this time. For within your third density, there's a great deal of the movement of entities, of energies, of ideas and concepts, so that it seems like this is a world in turmoil. And from an outer point of view, it may indeed seem such, but we would suggest that upon the metaphysical level of the inner planes of your planet, this type of turmoil is seen as that which is the bubbling of the yeasty, fruitful mixture of the various entities and ideas, so that from this cauldron of experience will be brought forth that which you would see as light, that which you would see as a direction for energies to be experienced, a direction for the intelligent energy of the Creator to move in discrete patterns, in patterns of organization, in patterns of inspiration, in patterns of ability to excite the imagination of entities to look beyond that which is now present in their conscious minds, to bring forth that which is within the subconscious mind, to have a birth of a new kind within each entity. For you will see there are many upon your plane who now seek spiritually, in a sense, which has not been experienced in times past. There are many who are seeking diligently and passionately for an experience of the one infinite Creator. When these entities are able to bring forth this intelligent energy and intelligent infinity into manifestation within the third density, you will see more of what you call the miracles, the changes of consciousness, the transformations of people, of places, of events. There shall be that which is momentous within your earth spheres. This time is here now. This time shall continue. There is much happening that is not reported, for it is not that which bleeds, thus it does not lead. You will find within your illusion much of inspiration if you seek for it within your meditative state. We would encourage, as always, that all entities engage in the meditative period as often as is possible, for there is nothing more helpful or hopeful in your incarnations and for this planetary surface and future as it transforms into fourth density than the connection in the metaphysical state and the meditative state to that one Creator which resides within all things. That is the core of the belief of all entities who seek now to aid this planetary entity in its transformation and its population in the same. As we perceive the silence, we shall assume that the queries are exhausted for the night. We would thank you, my friends, once again for calling for our assistance this day. When you do so, you pay us a great honor, for it is the way we serve those about us to answer the calls of sorrow from our brothers and sisters upon this planet. We know that you all wish for all your hearts, souls, and minds and being to be a part of the great change that is occurring upon this planet. And we assure you that you are indeed part of the change. This is a change which is becoming available to the eye of the beholder, yet it is already available to the heart and to the soul, to the spirit of that which exists in the metaphysical levels. It is becoming that which is physical. We encourage you in your meditations to send light and love to the planet itself and to all who are in need of such, for it is the call of sorrow that brings us here, the call of that which is in distress, for it is much likened unto a part of our own being that calls for assistance. We answer that call as we would take care of a stubbed toe, a sprained wrist, a blackened eye, for all these are signs of a battle well fought, a battle that is indeed within each heart and mind and can be shared with those about each, for you are one with all about you. Are you not? The one Creator exists in each and is making itself manifest in each in some fashion. The eye of the beholder is within the mind of the meditator. Your eye is single. Your light shall be filling your body and shall be that which leads you to the one Creator. Again, we thank you for inviting our presence this day. We are those known to you as Quo. We leave each of you in the love and the light of the one Creator in which we found you and hope to find you again, my friends. Adonai Vasu Boragas. This channeling is incredibly important to explain the transition to third density and answer some specific questions. Understand what's happening here. LL research went up to 2012, talking about 2012 all the time. In fact, Carla says 2012 is the end. You have your choice and you have to make the choice by 2012. There are some of her writings where she's saying that if you didn't make the choice between service to self and service to others by 2012, too late. I've been incredibly concerned about this, that I made my choice too late. The reason I'm so concerned is based on this explanation from the Law of One material. You have to completely redo the entire third density process again. That's 75,000 years of reincarnation. You get a chance at the end of the cycle to move on, to be harvested. While you can do it within your harvest, you have to start all over again on another planet. So I've been worried, I felt like I had my awakening and had really made my commitment and felt the power and wonder of choosing to help others. But I've been worried, is it too late? And here we get a little bit more specific answer from the Law of One material. that the earth is still cleaning up its messes, and we are all making this choice, and it could be 2 incarnations that we still have to make that choice. That's a great thing. We still have the opportunity right now to move into the 4th density. While many of us will repeat in 3rd density, if it is our sincere hope, we can do it right now. We're in this time right now. We might have waited 75,000 years to reach this point. It could have been from multiple planets, but we're in it now. And this planet will be a positive 4th density planet, meaning that if you want to repeat 3rd density, if you want to continue in 3rd density, you just love it so much, which is cool. I get it. Clearly 3rd density isn't as bad as they make it out to be, because a lot of people come back from the 4th density to help the 3rd density. Perhaps secretly they like the 3rd density so much. Who knows? But we're in the 3rd density cycle, ending in the 4th density. This was channeled after the elections in 2016. Obviously, there's concern. What's going on in the world? What is happening? We thought back in 2012 that we were moving into this new earth, and now it's not happening. Well, it appears that time, space, and space-time, which I don't completely understand, people have helped me to understand, are not consistent. And so there is a discrepancy between both, and the energies are moving up to clean up their messes and kind of coming in to terms with itself. So they do make the point that when we talk about these things over long periods of time, that right now we're just experiencing a blink of an eye, and when they talk about it, it's a much longer process. But we have the opportunity to move and transit into this 4th density now, even though the clock has struck and we're in 4th density now. We have the choice, and it's a simple choice. It's not hard. You don't need to have a physics degree. You don't have to do anything crazy. You just simply have to help others more than you help yourself. That can be hard. You're probably at home quite often and don't have the access to other selves to help. You can do that from your own home by writing, by podcasting, by phoning, by volunteering, by donating. Ask yourself how to help others, and you'll be given ways. It's amazing once you just ask the question, how can I help others? But there's many on this planet that are seeking the service to self instead of service to others option. And if that's the case, the service to others option and the service to self are quite different. The service to self is going to take you to an entirely different planet, the negative. And those are the people that aren't care only about themselves most of the time. And we see them on the news. We see them all the time. And they're a part of this process. And our exposure to this environment is very unique. The earth is very unique in the combination of service to self and service to other energies that are occurring on this planet. So we know that we're still in the process of transition. We have that verified by quote. Dolores Cannon might have said 2012. The Mayans might have said 2012, but it is still happening, and you still have a choice. So continue to help others as much as you can. Ask yourself how to do that if you want to be of service to others. And believe me, I think that's the best choice. Because the service to self world is a Game of Thrones type of existence in which it's all-out war, all-out dictatorship. It's unbelievably bad totalitarian society that you would not want to live in, constantly looking over your shoulder because everybody's out for themselves. If we make a choice now to be of service to others, we can do that. And it's a simple process, and you'll be given opportunities. Just make the choice. This is the period of the choice, and you can make the choice. And maybe you have a couple incarnations to do it, but I believe we can do it now. In any case, I'd love to get your thoughts on this, and if this cleared up any confusions you might have had about the process of transitioning from the 3rd to 4th density. In any case, all episodes of The Reality Revolution can be found at therealityrevolution.com. I am sending love and light to everyone that is hearing this, imagining a wonderfully blissful day, healing any sickness that you have, hoping that you find the love that you need, the abundance that is all around you, that you awaken to it. This is the time now, and it is all yours For you are the one creator. The law of one is saying that you are the one. And anything is possible for you. And using this awareness, you can do anything. And you can help so many people once you come to this understanding. Thank you so much. Love you all, and welcome to the Reality Revolution.